All right, what's up, and welcome to this Persona 5 Strikers discussion. With me here, I'm joining with my friend and streamer, BigDonSkillz.
Yo, what's going on, man?
Yeah, dude. We weren't wanting to collab for a while, so this is like the perfect opportunity here. Persona 5
Yeah,
Strikers. Yeah, it's just about to get released, and if you are on YouTube, you probably have seen like the videos getting posted. So me and Don, we actually played the Japanese version of this game 1 year ago, right, Don?
yeah.
So Don here played the demo and I played the full game. So we just going to have a little friendly discussion. We just going to waste some times here. What do you think about this game, Don? Like the gameplay part of this game?
Right. So I know we were talking a little bit off camera, and normally I'd find this style of gameplay kind of repetitive just because the Dynasty Warrior games have been button mash, hit 1,000 enemies at the same time, and just keep doing that over and over again. But what I like a lot about the directions that Strikers takes it is that it's more condensed into like level design, as opposed to kind of one giant map. It combines like Persona's story with that too. So it kind of gives more purpose to the combat, which is something a lot of those games kind of miss, is the combat doesn't really have purpose. So the button mashing gets really old. But I think they've done a good job of adding variety and making the attacks like have some nice feel to them.
So you played this game on the Nintendo Switch, is that right?
I did, yeah.
Did you like feel like the game was just laggy or something like that, or just it just was like smooth experience for you?
Yeah, so good question. With most games, especially anything that's current, the Switch port's usually going to run at a reduced frame rate. And so this game was running at like 30 frames. At least it's targeting 30 frames. But, it plays really well. It didn't feel like a huge visual downgrade from, let's say, like Persona 5 itself. Of course, it's not going to be, this smooth 60 frames per second type gameplay. But for running on the Switch, it actually played really well. And it's actually a consideration for when this game drops. I was like, is this something I'm willing to get on the Switch? But yeah, I think it ran really well despite all the things on screen that are happening at one time. Like you did get some visual, you did get some, some frame consistencies, but it wasn't anything that, it wasn't as bad as like, let's say Hyrule Warriors, for example, where the frame rate dipped heavily.
Yeah, definitely. So I played this game on the PS4 and the Switch, and I definitely think this game runs really good at both consoles, man. But 60 definitely feels a little better on the PS4.
100%, yeah.
So we are not gonna talk about the story because I always just keep mentioning up spoilers. So
Right.
yeah,
Keep it
but
safe for now, at least with the story, yeah.
yeah, but we all know like this game is like a direct sequel to the original Persona 5.
That's the first time they've done this too, since what, Persona 2? I guess
Yeah.
Persona 2 technically had a sequel, but I don't think they ever did with 3 and 4 unless you count.
Persona 3, you mean? The Fizz answer, the PSP?
That's true too. I guess they did, yeah. But I guess when you think of 4, maybe Arena was supposed to be like a sequel to 4, but I'm not too sure about that.
Should you play Persona Strikers?
That's
No.
a question to me, or is that a question to the audience?
Both, I think. Like, I really feel like if you enjoyed first Persona, like the original vanilla Persona, I think you should give Strikers a go because it's more of the same, The more characters that you love in the original are coming back, more story. The gameplay is kind of, it depends.
Like your personal preference, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think for a game like this too, going into it, you have to know two things. One, it's not a RPG, so this isn't you playing a turn-based combat. This is flip genres essentially.
Yeah,
so now
but
you have this action-based game, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's something that someone should consider. Like, hey, do I like action games? Yeah. Do I like mindless? Do I like button mashing? Do I like that style of combat? Yeah, but it also takes traits and properties from the original Persona 5 too, which is really cool. The monsters have certain weaknesses and, all out attacks and certain like that ways to exploit the monsters. So I think it stays true to like the RPG side of Persona 5, while introducing a completely, different combat system.
Actually, also you can fuse personas and level up within this game as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's actually
and
pretty cool. I like that.
they did add this like a skill tree, more like max HP and MP, so that is pretty cool as well. They are trying to give this game some replay value, and yeah,
Do you think it does?
Not really, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, they really did improve on the open world side of Persona. You definitely feels more like a Yakuza game right now.
Interesting. That's an interesting comparison. As a series I've yet to play, yeah.
It feels so open, and you feel like you can go anywhere you want, and you can interact with all these characters. So I think they definitely did improve on some stuff from like the original. But I think like one downgrade, in my opinion, is doesn't include the royal characters. Like they are not part of this story. Does that make any sense?
Which is kind of odd,
Yeah.
despite the fact that they kind of released fairly close to each other in Japan, in particular. And you would think they would take some elements from one another, but so no Kasumi or anything like that.
No, they actually did not even like bring like the new avatars from basically Royale. They are using like the old animations and stuff like that. Yeah.
Especially if you play Royal and then go right back to it, and you're like, now this feels different, It's like playing Royal then going back to 5, even though the games are fundamentally the same. Those nuances and those small improvements that were made are noticeable going back. Yeah.
Persona 5 Strikers is not made by the same people who made Persona. Like, it's not from the Atlas team. It's from like a different team that Atlas hired to make this game.
It may be Koei, actually, because I know Koei they're the ones who do all the Dynasty Warrior games, so it may have been a collab with their project. But that's just a guess. I'm not saying that's factual, but.
We did not do our research here. We just like
not for Koei. Like, what are these guys doing? Wait, could you explain it without? Is it a spoiler or is it something you can kind of?
No.
Talk about it. I think it's something good though.
Yeah. So remember, like the Persona 4 bathtub scene where basically the guys are peeking into the girls, and and at the end the girls just end up beating the hell out of them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. This scene doesn't exist with the original Persona 5, but they added it into Strikers. And I definitely feel it's so odd. And no matter like what basically choice that basically you made, you are going to end up being guilty.
I
don't know, with like Japanese media and stuff like that. It's always like the guys are being pervs and stuff like that. So I definitely think like, it's unnecessary.
I think stuff like that usually tends to just kind of. This is more of something just to appeal to the fans. Like, we needed this scene. We missed this scene. So maybe they felt the need to put it in there. But yeah, I guess I have to come to that conclusion whenever I play that final scene or that specific scene. I mean.
Yeah, because it definitely feels a little bit misplaced, I would say. Right, so in conclusion, if you like the original Persona 5, I think you're going to love this. You dislike the type of combat that this game offers you, I think you're going to hate this game. And like this game was like an overall improvement of like the original game, but I think it's definitely a downstep. Like I will describe it as a special spin-off, because we never got this amount of effort to put into a Persona spin-off. Like we always get these dancing games and arena stuff, and they are always like lazy games, cash grab. Strikers doesn't feel that way, right?
Yeah, so that's good, man. Although I do think Persona Arena was a good game, though. That was a pretty sick game. It just didn't really have its competitive scene didn't really thrive for very long. But I did think that was a pretty cool game. I think the same thing though. If you played the original 5, and you really enjoyed that game, I think this is a great way to just continue that. Persona is known for their RPGs, known for their, style of combat, but I think it's cool to be able to have a twist on that, something that's different, something that's unique. And I think that's where this game kind of fits into that. It's something different, a good time killer, while also kind of learning new things about your favorite Persona 5 characters. I think for that reason alone, it's perfect. It's a perfect fit, I think.
This game is going to be available on the Switch and PlayStation, so you're not really missing out. Basically, everyone is included, except the Xbox.
Yeah, I think one thing too, Atlas is looking to, spread the love more, especially with how successful Persona 4 was on PC. Persona 4 was like one of the biggest games of last year. I don't think people realize that, but when that came out to PC,
it was huge.
It was huge, and Atlas didn't know it was going to be that big. It surprised them. So that's why I think you see Strikers coming out now to PC. When I believe it's coming out right now on PC for the first time. It wasn't initially released on PC back last year when it dropped in Japan. So the fact that they're doing that now, essentially delaying it and coming out with a PC version, shows that they now understand that they have a really, really untapped market into that's PC. I don't know why companies wouldn't pick this up sooner. I feel like it's obvious, right?
It's just Sega and Atlas just being so Atlas,
Why instead of people emulating your game, why don't you just get them to buy the same thing in HD? Like, it's this, you know what I'm saying? It beats emulation, and people are more inclined to play it because it feels official as opposed to playing it through an emulator.
Like supporting the original developers.
That too,
or something like that. So that was Persona 5 Strikers. Don, thank you so much for joining me in this video.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, man. It was fun.
Yeah, it was a struggle, but we finally did it, man.
Refine it, man. We'll definitely do some more of these too.
Yeah, definitely.
Off the top, but we'll definitely get some more in.
If basically you want to see more of BigDonSkillz, I will put his social media down in the descriptions.
Sir.
Yeah, and you stream on Twitch, right?
Always, yeah, all the time, man. I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Remake right now, and gonna start back on the Pokemon grind here soon. So we've been vibing.
All right, man. Thank you so much for joining in. And
yes, sir.
Yeah. I guess I would see you in the next video, right?
All right.
Yep.